Yeah. I got the booth laid out, ready to inflate, and I'm doing some sanding on this second set of wings I've got. I'm going to go ahead and get these sanded. I've got one coat of silver on them, and I'm going to go ahead and sand them down, get another coat of silver, and then go ahead and get the top coat, which will also be the Rancho Silver. Alright guys, I want to talk a little bit about the second set of wings that I have here. These are the Piggyback STOL kit wings from Snake River Bush Plains in Idaho. And I'm pretty excited to finally have them here. I needed to do the paint on them. So all done with the silver coats. But let me talk a little bit about what this wing is. My kit in the garage over there, and all the previous videos you saw me building the standard wing. That's what this kit that I found in Texas when I bought the kit, it had the standard wing selected for it. Had I ordered a kit from Kitfox and had the patience to wait for that, I would have ordered the STI wing. And then you guys probably saw that video about what's in the truck, where I bought the wrecked Kitfox out of Washington. And that came with two wings, one in good shape and one that needed to be repaired. These are those wings. So these are standard wings from Kitfox. They are the standard structure as far as the spars, the original ribs, the rib webbing. Pretty much the main wing is there. But what Snake River Bush Plains does is they add a rib profile on top of the standard wing. You can actually see the standard wing starts about here, and oops, sorry, it comes over to here, and then we're adding this upper thickness to that wing. So it is a different profile than an STI wing, mostly in that we keep the same non-undercambered wing from the standard wing. The hopes there is to have a little better speed retention at the higher end, but also have the profile of a larger rib to give us a slower speed on the low end, on the stall side. In addition to that, we've incorporated, was working with Snake River Bush Plains on this, and then Carbon Concepts up in Alaska with Randy Appling, and we came up with some slats. Because the slat length doesn't match the spacing of the ribs, we couldn't attach them at the ribs specifically in two locations. So instead we put false ribs in to mount those brackets to. Those brackets then extend out through the leading edge. The leading edge of these is aluminum, and it's 3 pieces. You can actually see these lines in the covering. When the wing's unloaded, you'll see that. As soon as it's or right in the rotisserie, you see that. As soon as it's mounted on the wing, that tends to disappear because of the load. But some of the stuff about this that is unique is it does have the aluminum leading edge. It's screwed in. He's put this on another Kitfox that's been flying for quite a while now. It's with real good results. I guess there's 4 pieces. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of aluminum. And then we'll have 3 slats per wing at 4 feet each on this particular wing. Give us 12 feet of slat, and then the inboard section is left open. And according to Randy at Carbon Concepts, they've done some testing to find that if you leave 12 to 18 inches open between the fuselage, you get a better rate of climb. We're a little bit more than that, just to space. His standard size slat is 4 feet, so we started at the wingtip and then moved in. That gave us a little bit more space from the inboard section, but you can always do a short one in there to make up that if we feel that it needs it. But for right now, we're going to go ahead with a 12-foot section and see how they perform. You know, a lot of numbers come out from guys that are building the STI kit of having, you know, top speed about 100, where if you go with a standard wing kit, you got a top speed in around, you know, some guys are seeing with the Airmasters 120, 130 miles an hour. 110 to 115 is probably more common. And I really think most of that is attributed to the landing gear change. So if you have a standard wing with the bush gear, like I did on my Kitfox 5, I had the Grove gear and was able to cruise. In the wintertime, I could get 130 at full throttle. I cruised commonly at 115 miles per hour. I put that Bush Shock Monster landing gear on there, boom, dropped me down to 98 miles per hour at the same power settings. So I think that the speed difference you see between the STI version and the standard version in the Kitfox is mostly attributed to the landing gear. This will be interesting because we have the Shock Monster landing gear on this plane, and we're going to start with a standard wing. So I'll get basically the cruise information and speeds for stall and cruise, everything based on the standard wing with the Shock Monster landing gear, not covered. I'm not going to cover it to start with. I'm going to see what the numbers are I get. Also not going to do VGs to start with. So we're going to take it out with a standard wing, fly it, see how we like it. I can at least compare it to the performance of my Model 5. It's going to be much lighter, a lot more horsepower, but the wings will be the standard ones. Then, after we're comfortable with the engine setup, make sure all the squawks are taken care of, flight testing is done, then I'm going to switch over to these wings and run through basically this flight testing again and find a comparison. We'll probably make a spreadsheet, really, so you guys can have some really full information on these and really compare the stall speeds and cruise speeds, handling, rate of climb, the feel of it, you know, the roll rate. These are much bigger wings, so the roll rate is definitely going to be different. Same size flaperons. Matter of fact, we're using the same flaperons. We're going to take them off that wing, put them on this wing. So after we do all the testing on this and we find that these meet our expectation, this should be a kit that's offered from Snake River Bush Planes. Either something that he being Rich Kimball, great guy, awesome to work with, has an excellent build quality. He's been building Kitfoxes for years now, and he has quite a few happy customers out there with beautiful Kitfoxes. So he also does Highlanders. Basically, he's a great resource for builders as well. So, but his kit will be something that you can either take your wings to him and he'll do this like he did for me, or it's a kit that he could send you and you could do yourself. You could take your standard wing, you got to uncover it, put these piggyback ribs on there, and then recover the wing again. The drawbacks to the slats are yet to be really tested. So obviously when you're using slats, your landing profile is nose high, power on, and we'll just see how that works with a Kitfox, whether we have enough tail authority, whether you have enough visibility. So there's a lot to be tested there. We know that slats work on flaperon wings like the Zenith 701, 750, and the Savannahs. They all carry those slats as an option. The reason behind it is really the type of flying I do. The type of flying I do is, locally anyways, is hanging out with cub guys who land really slow. And with my Kitfox 5 landing at 45 miles an hour minimum, you know, usually 50 on approach would be slow, milking it down to 45 to touch down. Where they're landing, some of them are landing below 30 miles an hour. The dissipation of that energy is so much different with an extra 15 miles per hour. Granted, the Kitfox's was a little bit lighter, and I had the bigger brakes to help compensate that, but being able to get slower is really the key. And where I really noticed this as a issue is in the STOL drags, because I know my brakes are top notch. Power was always an issue racing those guys because I had the big Lycoming, and at the elevations that we're racing at Reno and High Sierra, the horsepower, if you do the calculations, you're down about 87 horsepower if it's running top notch, just because of the elevation, the density altitude. So you go up against guys that are running turbos that are maintaining their 141 horse, or in the case of Steve Henry, he's putting out 300 horse at that same elevation. But power is going to be obviously the biggest factor there. The other thing I notice is on my downwind leg, so as I'm cruising down towards the turnaround line, I'm pretty competitive. I'm crossing the line right about the same time. But I'm not able to dissipate the speed, get the speed down slow enough that the other guys are doing. So I'm landing with more energy that I have to get rid of without braking. And even with awesome brakes, you're still limited on your braking by, nosing over. So you can only put so much brake on it before you're going to go over. So my turnaround distance on the race was much longer than the real competitive guys that are able to fly slower. And that's where the Cub wing, Highlander wing, more under camber on the Highlander wing, slats running on that one. The Jason Bussett's S6, same thing. So I really found that where I need to improve in order to be more competitive is power. The brakes are great, power, and slow flight capability. So that's kind of the reason behind this wing. Is my local flying is all about slow flight with the guys I fly with locally, and the race application, slower flight capability. So the standard wings will be great. I mean, it's going to make it a great all-around airplane. I'm real excited to go out and fly and test it with that. I'm actually excited to put the slats on those and see what we get out of that as well. But I'm also real excited to test this wing out and see if we can get down around 30, or great expectations would be less than 30 on the stall speed with the slats. And then how useful it is with the slats that way. So it'll be interesting to see, and I'm looking forward to that part of the experiment. The part of the project is the testing portion. It is a prototype wing. It's never been flown before, so there's a little bit of nervousness there. But we've done our homework on it, and so you got to go out and give it a try. So I don't think there's anything about it that's super unusual, and it's just based off of other applications out there. We're kind of combining a couple things to come up with our version of a slow flying high STOL performance wing. So stay tuned on that. Just a little bit about that wing, and we'll get back to work. There is a chance that we're going to flight test them on a different airframe just to see how they perform. We'll see if that happens, but did a lot of work on those, getting them painted and slats fit. We do have some fitment issues we got to work out with the slats, so we're working on that. Stripe came out really nice on both of them. Again, this was for visibility purposes, but I think it looks pretty dang sharp too. All right, so we're at the Red Bluff Airport. We'll test out the new wings. Got the crew to help out. I'm gonna mount them on this Kitfox. I know, the wheel's on the wrong end. That's gonna be rectified as soon as we're done playing with it. They'll go on there and we will get this thing flying. We're at Red Bluff Airport and we're putting my wings, the prototype wings from Snake River bush plane on a friend's Kitfox Vixen to test them out. So far we got the wings mounted. Flaperons are on. We're adjusting the flaperons because there's different control push-pull tubes because of the bigger wing. We got the wingtips on. Pido's all set up. Fuel's all set up. We don't have any lights on this one right now because it's not necessary for daytime flight. We still have to do the turtle deck. There's some adjustments because where the flaperon comes out is in a different location now because the wing's bigger. And probably gonna run out of daylight today to fly it today, but we're gonna take our time make sure everything's rigged up. We're setting the flaperons right now. Next we got to do the washout in the wing. So take a walk by on it. Got a camera set up on the wingtip. We got another one inside. We're gonna come up with we'll have a flight plan set up for the different tests we want to do as far as the stall speeds, cruise speeds, power settings, and everything. We're gonna compare them to what this plane did with the other wing on it, just to get a comparison between the two. We're looking at the cruise speeds, top speed, cruise speed difference. See if we're any lower. And then we're going to do stall speeds and hope to be quite a bit lower on those. No VGs, no slats for the first flight. Slats were attempted to be delivered today. They should be here. If we can't track them down today, we'll have them tomorrow. So the slats are going to go on, and we're going to do a flight without slats, flight with the slats, and then we're going to put VGs on and do a flight with VGs and slats if we have time. We're going to have to basically do all this Thursday because tomorrow is supposed to rain. We'll look at the weather. We may have morning to deal with, and it's supposed to rain tomorrow night and into Thursday, so we may run out of options to fly it. We may fly it in the rain, I don't know. So anyway, that's where we're at right now, getting the prototype wings all set up, and once we're done with this, they'll come back off this airplane, and then they'll go back on, the airplane will go back on the trailer over there, and wings will go back on my trailer over here, and we'll get them all situated. So excited to see how they perform. Rich is real excited to fly. Unfortunately, I had to be at home on Wednesday in order to wait for the delivery of the slats so I could sign for them. So I missed the first flight. We went ahead and had Rich go ahead and do the first flight because of the weather window. So he flew it without the slats and without VGs on it. Got some pretty good baseline numbers. Cruise speed at normal cruise setting was 105. He was able to get full throttle, 115 miles per hour out of it. And his lowest stall speed he saw was about 40 miles per hour. So that was a good baseline to compare to the slats and VGs. So after this flight, we went ahead and installed the slats and put the VGs on it. All right, I didn't film it, but slats are now on. We set the stops at 2 inches at the back. So that's how far up they pop. I'll come around and show you what it looks like there. So there's a 4-inch opening here, 2 inch at the back, so that's how it compresses the air.
Put them on the center tube.
So next we got to put the VGs on, which will be placed 1 inch behind the trailing edge of the slat. And we got to get it dried off now to stick those on. So the slats are on, stop is set, and the VGs are on. We went 1 inch behind the trailing edge, and then where there are no slats, we brought them forward to the normal spot. Beautiful day here in Red Bluff. We are testing the prototype wing on the Kitfox Vixen that will eventually go on my Kitfox. We've got the slats, VGs installed, boat rats, and Rich Kimball from Snake River Bush Planes is taxiing out right now. He designed the wing, so we're letting him fly it. I think that's pretty smart.
Perfect. That's perfect.
All right.
Red Bluff traffic, Kitfox 6 Tango Foxtrot is taxiing to runway 15. We're going to lift off, fly down the runway, set back down, and then we'll exit at the end. Red Bluff traffic.
All right, so Rich is just over my head, climbing to 5,000 feet. He's gonna be doing the stall speed checks, and hopefully everything goes well.
Let me know when you're ready to start doing stall. Copy that. I'm just climbing up to 5,000 first. I'm at 3,750. That wing looks freaking cool from the ground, man. You can totally see the straight. Looks pretty stable right here. Nothing's moving around. It's nice and symmetrical. How's your speed? Speed is 75, 75-80 right in there. 500 feet a minute. I got no flaps in right now. I'm just letting it climb up nice and easy. 2,500, 2,450 on the RPM. Yeah, when you get to 5, see what you can get out of it for cruising. That'd be awesome. Find out real quick whether it's going to be close to 100 or not. Having a little trouble hearing you. When we get to 5, what? Level off and do a couple cruise speed runs. Oh yeah, do a couple of cruise speeds, yes. Trimmed out, not climbing, 2,500 RPM at 5,000 feet. We're doing 100 miles an hour. I believe I'm going with the wind now. Make a 180-degree turn and go back the other way, see what I get. Awesome. I'm 1,800 RPMs, not dropping any. I'm right a solid 40 miles an hour, really high altitude. And there's the buffet, clean 40 miles an hour. So, alright, I'll add 1 notch of flap. Yeah, slats are open. 40 miles an hour, not dropping any, vertical, 1,800 RPMs, 39, 35. There, 1 notch is flap, 30. I'm gonna turn around and go the other way. No kidding, 30.
All right, I'm gonna keep this rolling so we can get some of the audio. So he just did, speed run was 100 miles an hour at 2,500 RPM on the Lycoming. His first stall was no flaps.
Helicopter coming back in. I'm gonna wait for him to get back to the airport.
So no flaps, 1,700 RPM. He was stalling at 40. He went 1 notch of flaps, 1,800 RPM to hold the nose up. He stalled at 30, indicated. So he's turning around, going the opposite direction. That was into the wind. He's going to go with the wind and check it again. He still has another notch of flaps to go. But so far, the indications are very good. We didn't lose much cruise speed, and the stall speed is drastically lower. I think on my 5, clean was about 51. So clean That was power on clean, so he'll do some power offs, see if we can get the angle with the power off, see what it does there. Probably just won't stall. Let's see.
I thought I was a long ways past the airport. I guess I'm still over the top of it.
Oh, we've been watching you sit there and hover.
Okay, I'm gonna put my second notch of flap in. (1800 RPM). Still climbing 300 feet a minute. I'm at 45 miles an hour, dropping to 40. Still climbing 50 feet, dropping to 17, 50, 40, 40 miles an hour. 35. 30. 29. 29.
Hit brake at 29.
Broke at 29. Just a little buffet at 29. I didn't want to go too rowdy there. Let me turn around and go back the other way and just make sure that I'm going with or without the wind. 50, 45, 40, and still climbing 50, 100 feet a minute. 35. Still climbing 50 feet a minute. 30. 29. 28. Okay, I'm going to descend back down and land on 3-3.
Hey, turn a couple with full power off with the flap 1 notch and 2 notch to see where your power off is. You can get the nose high enough to get the flaps to activate.
Yeah, I just did a clean stall power off. Let me do a notch of flaps and see what it is power off. Well, 1500 RPM. 1 notch of flap power off right at 42. (39). 2 notches of flap.
All right, as Rich brings it down to land, just want to go over, this was the first flight with the slats and the VG setup. There'll be a lot more testing to go, a lot more performance numbers to get, confirmations of those speeds with GPS. This aircraft just wasn't capable of doing the GPS confirmation. But I think we got a really good idea that we're on the right track, and I can't wait to get this on my airplane and start testing it and comparing it to the standard wing. You can just watch as he approaches in here how slow his landing speed is, and it just goes to show that that slat really does make a difference. So just want to thank Rich for committing to this project, including me in it, letting me give some feedback and help develop the slat portion of it. I mean, I think it's pretty incredible that Rich designed this, developed it, built it, and then put his butt on the line and went out and flight tested it. Very impressive to see the stall capability with the power on, utilizing those slats, and I couldn't be happier. I'm very excited to be a part of all this, and I can't wait to move forward with it. 29 was your lowest?
29 or 28 was the lowest, but it was 29 one way and 28 the other, so 28.
That was
50.
full flaps, about 1800 RPM.
That was full flaps, right about 1950, 2000 RPMs, right in there.
That's what it'd be at,
And it just
dragging it in.
It got up. So when I landed it. I believe I was just over 30 miles an hour, and I wanted to fly down the runway and just see if I could hold it off. And
So you were just now?
I was just holding it off the runway.
Did you have power in when you were landing?
Power in, just modulating the power.
How nose high were you?
Huh?
How nose high were you?
All the way. I couldn't see. I had to look outside window.
About 3 point or more?
Way over 3 point. I would have been dragging the tail wheel if I'd had one. I'd have been making.
So you come in,
smack
smack the tail to put it down?
I could have, but I didn't want to hurt this thing.
Well, I mean on a tail wheel.
Yeah, tail wheel. You'd have been tail wheel first with the mains, probably at least 18 inches off the ground, be my guess. It was like this. I had to look out the side window and watch the line to stay in the center of the runway.
Dang.
So it felt good.
Right
Nice
on.
and stable.
30.
Not when I slowed down, I think I'm running out of an elevator on it. It's a lot of wing. I'm running out of elevator because I could get the stick all the way back, and I was just on the stop, rocking it back and forth to keep it level. So I think more elevator.
On landing or on your stalls?
On landing, and then.
Well, right on, man.
Yeah, it was cool.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Sweet. We were hoping for low 30s, but high 20s is freaking fantastic.
Well, with a heavy airplane too, you
Yeah.
get a 700-pound airplane, or even lower, or just a little bit right in that range. You take a couple 100 pounds off it, it's going to make a huge.